I hope you're as passionate about safety as I am. And when you're in a Graham facility, please make sure that you follow the rules and guidelines that have been provided to you, and make sure you have an enjoyable and safe visit and go home safely.
Hi, I'm Mark Vanderwall. I'm the Corporate Environmental Health and Safety Director for Graham Packaging, and I want to welcome you to our plant today. I really appreciate the time that you're taking going through this training so that you can get a better understanding of how Graham values safety and how we want to make sure you go home safe at the end of your visit. Whether you're a visitor, a new hire, a contractor doing work in our facility, the priority is always on you to go home at the end of your visit the same way you arrived today. We want you to be able to go home without any stitches in your fingers, without any pain in your back or your neck. We want you to be able to go home and do the things that you enjoy most, picking up your kids, your grandkids, doing the hobbies you like to perform, and do it all without pain. Now, at Graham, we view every incident as being avoidable. We take safety very, very seriously in this company, and we want to make sure that you have the knowledge, the tools, and the experience that you need to work in our plant or visit our plant in a safe way. And that's why we're here to talk to you today, so that we can give that understanding to you and go through some of the basics as far as what we require in the plant so that you can visit here safely today. We always encourage any question. If there's any gray areas, if there's any doubts, if there's any concerns, please, please, please feel free to ask anybody about what you need to do, how you need to do it, so that we don't make unsafe assumptions and we can avoid those injuries where you may end up going home in a way that you didn't arrive today. When a visitor arrives, they'll be expected to review our sign-in sheet, look at the visitor logbook and all of our safety expectations for the plant, including the good management practices, our safety procedures and policies, as well as signing in the logbook and wearing a visitor name badge.
Why am I signing this?
These are our safety policies. We take safety very seriously here in our plant, and we would hate for you to get hurt or you to do something in our plant that could cause one of our employees to get hurt. We want you're signing in order to tell us that you've read these and that you do understand and you will comply with these safety regulations while you're in our plant.
Very well.
Thank you. And if you could sign our visitor sign-in sheet with your name and who you're here to see and the time.
Yes, ma'am.
Just wear that the entire time you're in the plant so we know who you are. Here you go.
If you're in a food plant, you will be required to wear a hairnet, and if you have facial hair, you will be required to cover that as well. If you're not in a food plant, those items may not be required. But at a minimum, everybody will need to wear safety glasses. Everyone will need to wear earplugs.
This is our personal protective equipment. You'll need a pair of earplugs. Have you worn earplugs before?
Yes, ma'am, I sure
Okay, they're very important. It gets very loud out in the plant with all the machines running. And then hairnets. Any food and beverage facility, you must wear a hairnet. Of course, you don't want hair in a bottle that juice is going to go into. And lastly is safety glasses. Protect your eyes. And you don't have a wedding ring, do you, or any jewelry, watch? No earrings. No jewelry above your waist at all. Okay, very good. And the jacket, you can't wear a jacket in the plant, but I'll be happy to take that for you and hang it up in the front.
If you're wearing a sweater, a jacket, or a sweatshirt, you must remove it. If you're chewing gum or eating candy or drinking something right now, please finish that and get rid of it before you go out on the manufacturing floor. Any watches, rings, earrings, any jewelry that you're wearing from the waist up needs to be put away. Nail polish and nail extensions are not permitted while out on the plant floor. If you have those items on your hands now, we'll ask that you wear gloves while you're here in your visit. Also, no smoking, no tobacco products whatsoever at any time out on the manufacturing floor. Pens and pencils are not permitted in shirt pockets as they can fall out and contaminate our product. Any loose items that could come off from your clothing or be caught in our manufacturing process are dangerous. We don't want those out on the plant floor. Please remove them now. Shoes must be made of a material that's resilient and strong, but also must fully enclose the foot. No flip-flops, no sandals, no slippery soled shoes like cowboy boots. We want to make sure that you're not creating a slip hazard. All soles must be of slip-resistant material. Some gram plants require that you wear a hat while you're out on the manufacturing floor. If the plant you're visiting requires a hat to be worn, you must wear this hat at all times while you're out on the manufacturing floor. If you're in a food plant, you will also have to wear a hairnet. You wear your hat over the top of that hairnet at all times. Also, some plants require the use of a plastic protective bump cap. And as always, if you're unsure, please ask someone at the plant and they'll be able to give you a little more direction. If you've done everything that I've asked you to do, we are ready to go out into the manufacturing area.
One of the most important things to remember when walking out on the manufacturing floor is to do a 360 look around before you go in and look at where your areas you're going to walk. You see these yellow stripes here, you see these signs, you see these chains and posts. Those clearly mark a pedestrian aisle where it's safe for me to walk. And it's also telling that forklift driver that he can't drive in this area. We need to constantly be on the lookout for them because they can't always see us. Those forklifts are 8,000 pounds without a load on them. When you add the weight of that container or what they're carrying, that could add another 1,200 pounds. The plant manager's worst nightmare is to get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning because one of his employees was hurt in a collision with a forklift. I would never win in a collision with one of these guys. Another thing that we have as a policy at Graham is to never ever come within an arm's length of a forklift when it's running. It's always important, remember, don't come near one of those when it's running. When it's shut off, when that driver's not on it, then it's okay to approach. Until then, you always watch out for those guys because they can't always see you.
During your initial visit, any contractor, visitor, new employee will have an escort from the plant to walk with you to make sure that you're following our appropriate walk areas and are working and walking safely throughout our plant. It's important you stay with that escort at all times. Emergencies, natural disasters, fires, hurricanes, tornadoes rarely affect a Graham plant. But if they do, it's very important that you follow our procedures for properly taking cover or evacuating the plant. Regardless of the type of the emergency that you may encounter while you're visiting, it's very important that you follow all plant instructions, whether they come from your escort or whether they come over the plant's intercom. It's very important that you follow those instructions clearly and as efficiently as possible so that you can safely either leave the building or take cover as needed. Every Graham plant will have a posted evacuation route map. On the evacuation route map, there will be designated exit signs, as well as the evacuation route and the reassembly area. When you leave a building in the event of an emergency, the assembly area is a place where everybody gathers and somebody will take an attendance and make sure that everybody got out safely. Everyone who works in a Graham plant must work and behave safely and professionally. Working safely is a condition of employment at Graham. We don't allow horseplay, practical jokes, or unsafe behavior at any time.
In Graham plants, we have multiple machines that require climbing to height. As you notice with this machine, I have to climb a ladder that puts me up very close to the ceiling. Now it's important that if you're going to be working at heights in any of our locations, that you look at the ladder you're going to use, that you make an evaluation of the platform once you're up here, and that you never ever reach out beyond the railing. It's very critical that we stay safe when we're working at heights and that we're using the proper climbing techniques and proper techniques once we're up here. Don't take any risks of a fall. Whether you're using a ladder that's putting you up close to the ceiling or whether you're using a lower stairway or a step ladder, it's always important to check your climbing equipment before you start to use it. Check to see that the steps or cleats are secure or the rungs. Check the railing to make sure they're solid. Look at the bases and the anchors to where they're secured at the floor. Make sure there's no slip areas or any potential friction points that will allow the ladder to slip while you're using it. And then when you decide you're ready to ascend, make sure you're always using 3 points of contact, whether you're using 2 hands and 1 foot or both feet in 1 hand. You always want to have 3 points of contact when you're using stairways or ladders. Then once you get to your height, make sure that you've got a safe way to climb back down and that the floor below you doesn't have any new obstruction. You don't want to have any chances of a fall. It's very important to use proper lifting techniques to avoid strains to your back and your shoulders. Al's going to demonstrate the proper way to lift a heavy object up from the bottom of a cart to the top of this bench. Al? Notice how Al is squatting down, bending from the knees. He's keeping his back straight. He's not arching his back. He's lifting the load with his legs, not his back. Nice job, Al. Thank you. To minimize the risk of back strains or shoulder strains, if the object's too heavy to lift by yourself, get help from a buddy. And remember to squat from your knees, bend down properly, and lift from your legs, not your back.
We track 3 safety elements in our plants very closely: unsafe conditions, near misses, or injuries, regardless of severity. It's important that if you observe any of these elements in our plant, that you notify supervision immediately. You must tell someone if you see an unsafe condition, such as water or grease on the floor, a machine that's running in an unsafe way, guards missing. Tell management immediately. If you see somebody injured, regardless of severity, or if you're injured yourself, you must tell management immediately. If something could have hurt somebody and was a near miss, something falls, a piece of equipment drops, didn't hurt anybody but could have, please inform management immediately. That's a near miss, and we want to know about those. Because if we can focus on those things that could have hurt somebody, we can put fixes in place to prevent somebody from getting hurt in the future. We want to know, and it's up to you to tell us. Please inform someone as soon as you make those observations immediately. All work areas must be kept clean. We want to keep floors, working space, surface areas free from debris and potential trip hazards. It's important that when doing work in our plant, you clean up after yourself and keep your area free from hazards.
Now, as part of the manufacturing process and as part of maintaining the machinery, we have to use different chemicals for lubrication, for cleaning, and you can see these chemicals are carefully managed in the Lakeland plant here. This is labeled food grade because these particular chemicals can only be used in areas on the machines that have contact with the bottles, because the bottles that they produce here are used in food or beverage applications. So it's important that they use the right chemicals in the right applications. And you will get further training on the proper use and location of these chemicals. In this cabinet, Al is here with me, the shift supervisor, and he's going to show you some of the more dangerous chemicals that we're required to use.
Okay, we keep these flammable liquids under lock and key, and we have a sign-out sheet. Anyone that has to use these, we have a list to where the person that's going to be required to use it We sign their name. We put the location as to where they're going to use the materials, and also have to sign it back in so that we can keep track of what's out and what's in. As you will look inside, we have many different types of flammable liquids. Anything that we use on the line that is not food grade. Here we have Videojet makeup fluid. You can see that there. Also on the rear here, we have markings to show the severity of the type of fluid, whether it's the health severity of it, flammability, and reactivity. Reactivity would mean how it reacts to your skin, to your clothing, or anything like that. This particular liquid here has a high number. The higher the number, the more flammable it is.
So in these particular cases, they are clearly marked labels, and it's very important that when you use these chemicals that you understand the hazards that are involved. And you will get more training on them before you're allowed to use any of these chemicals. Thank you, Al. I appreciate it.
Your plant has lots of different tools and pieces of equipment. Do not use any equipment that you're not authorized or trained to use.
Using man lifts or boom lifts or any of that type of equipment in our plant has very strict procedures and controls that need to be in place before safely operating one of these. Al here is demonstrating a lovely Day-Glo green fall protection harness, and he's going through a pre-use safety inspection of the equipment. Now he's been trained and certified, and he's thoroughly knowledgeable in how this machine works and what to look for as he goes through the safety inspection. In order for anybody to operate one of these in our plant, they would have to demonstrate that training and knowledge as well, and also be certified. Any contractor that would come onto location with their equipment would have to show that they've been trained and certified, and a Graham employee would want to inspect their equipment as well to make sure it's safe for use in our location. Now Al's going to demonstrate getting into the basket. He's already gone through his safety check. He has the safety harness securely put on. He's going into the basket and he's going to securely lock the door. And then he'll anchor off on the lock-off point for his fall protection harness. You don't want to take a chance on falling out of one of those baskets at the heights that these can reach. And it's very important that we always follow these regulations.
If you're a contractor using your own tools or equipment in our Graham plant, it's important that you meet with the maintenance manager immediately. We'll go through the equipment with you to make sure that it meets Graham standards and current safety codes, and that it's appropriate and safe for use in the facility.
When using any type of shop equipment, it must be properly guarded and operated only by qualified employees. Robert here has been qualified as a machinist and is certified to run this machine, and he's been given access to the key that turns on the power supply. Now you notice that this lathe is also properly guarded with the right shields to prevent shrapnel from flying back up and hitting him. He's able to clearly see the part he's working on because there's windows, but it's also a good protection measure to keep any flying debris from hitting him in the face. He's got on gloves, he's got on an apron, he has on his safety glasses as added protection. Now Robert's had many years and is qualified as a machinist, and he's got many years of experience to run this machine. It's important that only people that have been qualified and certified and can pass a test are able to run this thing, and are only those given access to the keys. Also, when using your machine shop equipment, it's always important to remember to wear the personal protective equipment that's required for the task at hand. Robbie here is putting on his leather gloves, he has on a face shield, he has on an apron, and he's double checking that that sander is properly operating, and then he's going to grind down his part. He's using proper technique, and he's safe. When welding, we require specific application for welding attire. That's a welding jacket, welding gloves, and proper welding helmet, as well as closing a curtain when welding in the shop. We also require a hot burn permit anytime we're welding or cutting out on the production floor. This is required for the management staff of the facility.
One of the most important elements in our energy control while working on plant equipment is to remember that stored energy, hydraulic energy, any type of electrical energy, motion energy can hurt people. So we make sure that when we're doing work on our equipment, all those points of energy are addressed and they're deactivated. In this case, he's using a tool, he's performing maintenance, he has a lock on the main energy control point. That's critical in Graham. You will be provided with all the training and tools that you need to know when to apply a lock and how to control the energy in your machine before you're allowed to even work on it. But one of the critical components is to remember Graham's mantra. You use a tool, you lock it out. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on out there on the manufacturing floor. Cool and safe. We have a great safety track record. We want to keep it that way. Help us.
So what makes a good safety program? To me, total associate involvement is essential in a good safety program. Too often we try to manage safety from the top down, and that's never sustainable. So what's important for new associates in our company? Number one, know and understand and follow all the rules. Make sure that the training is something that you understand. And from there, give us your feedback. Tell us what you like, what you think is good, what you see that doesn't make sense to you, because we need your help to make this a good program.